We're going to start with the basics and learn about something I like to call relationship conversations. Do you spend time regularly checking in with each other about how your relationship is going? What I mean by that is, do you meet regularly and talk about what is going well and what needs to improve in the relationship? Let me ask you something. If you're not checking in with each other, how do you know whether your partner is happy or not with the different aspects of your relationship? What could be building up between you that is not getting aired? Because it will be those things that over time become toxic. It's like the filter in a dishwasher. If it isn't cleared out every now and again, it won't clean the dishes properly and bits of dirt will build up. If you don't air the issues between you in a constructive way, they will start to build up over time, and at first you may not notice the rock or even the hill that's forming between you, but over time it gets very hard to ignore a mountain. So this is my first recommendation. Spend time regularly having relationship conversations. Some couples do this spontaneously, and that's fine, as long as it's regular. However, what I say to couples who are not used to checking in and feel tempted to avoid potential conflict is that you need to get used to talking about things that might not be so pleasant. That's part of being an adult, and the more you do it, the less scary it gets. To make it a bit easier, be sure to start and end with the things that are positive about your relationship. That way your partner doesn't feel like you're bombarding them. Doing this is also good for you because it makes you remember the things about your relationship that are actually working. It's human nature that when we're dissatisfied about something, that thing becomes our focus. And when we only convey that to our partner, they hear criticism and disapproval. So you need to bring a balanced perspective to these relationship conversations to avoid leaving a kind of bad taste in your partner's mouth. Otherwise, they're not going to want to meet with you again to talk about where the relationship's at. So let me give you some examples of giving feedback to your partner. You might say, "Honey, I really appreciate how you do the dishes after dinner. I was wondering if you would also spray and wipe the sink when you finish." What you are doing here is pointing to the desired behaviour. Some people make the mistake of emphasising what hasn't been done, and the danger with this is that it sounds critical and unappreciative. For example, "Honey, thanks for doing the dishes, but you never spray and wipe the sink." Can you hear the difference there? When you point to the desired behaviour, you are suggesting that you believe in your partner to do the desired action. Another example is, "I felt embarrassed and hurt when a reference was made to my weight in front of Sam. I would appreciate it if we discussed your concerns about my weight in private." Again, this is very different to, "You always talk about my weight in front of other people. You are so insensitive." That statement is accusing and critical. And unfortunately, it's more likely to elicit a defensive response rather than the understanding response that you're looking for. So what you want to do is express your feelings in a way that encourages a favourable response from your partner. Of course, you're not responsible for how your partner responds to the things you say, but you are responsible for how you deliver that message. And if you deliver it in a constructive way and still get a defensive or negative response, at least you know you did your bit. And you never know, your partner might go away and think about it and come back with a different attitude. It's certainly better than reacting unfavourably and guaranteeing a negative response. On the other hand, if you're repeatedly trying to address conflict well, and no matter what you do, you get an unfavourable response from your partner, then I guess you really need to think about whether this is a relationship that you actually want to be in. So the formula for expressing feelings constructively is, when such and such happens. So it's important to avoid saying "you" here because that can sound accusing. Then the next part is "I feel." So here you name the feeling, not the thought. And then finish with and what I would like is. So this is where you point to the desired behaviour. When it's Valentine's Day and nothing special happens, I feel neglected and unimportant, and what I would like is to celebrate our relationship on special occasions. Or another one could be, when there is an expectation to have sex, I feel pressured, and what I would like is to be able to say no occasionally and for things to still be okay between us. One of the benefits of communicating this way is that it forces you to think about what you want rather than what you don't want. I find this helpful for men in particular because they tend to respond to specific requests rather than general statements. There's a big difference between "you never think of me" or even "be more thoughtful" compared to "it would mean a lot if you brought me a little token when you're away to show me that you were thinking of me." I often have men tell me that a specific request is more helpful because it's tangible and something that they feel they can really respond to. The only thing I would say to men is make sure you do respond, because if your partner makes a specific request and you don't respond, it can leave them feeling like you don't really care about them. On the other hand, women often tell me they don't want to ask for something specific because they want their partner to think of it themselves. But unfortunately, none of us are mind readers, and your partner may not realise how important that specific thing that you want is to you. Buying a little gift when he's been travelling might be important to you, but it might not be as important to somebody else. Another woman might prefer a text message, for example, to say, "I'm thinking of you," or a big hug when he walks in the door. So as we saw with the love languages, different things speak to different people, and it's important that we educate each other on what our needs are, not in a demanding sort of way, but in more of an invitational way, so that our partner knows specifically what we want and how to respond to what we want. When our partner does this, it tells us that he or she has listened and cares about our needs enough to respond to them. Again, at first it might feel phony or unnatural to express yourself this way, but persevere and it will start to become more comfortable over time.